Absolutely.
We've just come off of a August the 2nd election, James, and you ran as an independent. I would say that you very consistently showed up at all the speakings
Yes.
and got on the television at all the speakings and put your word out that you wanted to get out.
Yep.
And to my knowledge, I think you were one of the only independents that did that. So,
Yeah, pretty much the only independent in the race that done that. What I was trying to do, and I explained this to some of the Mr. Gillard supporters, Mr. Bullock supporters, Mr. Grady supporters, and I started out with every one of the speakings, reminding everybody that I wasn't going to be on the August 2nd ballot, that I would be on the ballot on November 8th. What I was trying to do is simply get my message out and let the voters be thinking about the difference between myself and the other individuals that are running for the office of sheriff. At the same time, leave no doubt in anyone's mind of how dedicated I am to Tippah County and how dedicated I am to doing the job as a sheriff for the folks in Tippah County.
okay, that's and that you did, and you did that very consistently. And I was at most of all the speakings. I think we missed two, and you were there on the times that we were there. So
Well, there was, I think there was probably 11 all told, and I think there was 12. I had to miss 3 of them due to my work schedule.
Right.
I've still got to hold a job and try to campaign too.
right. To start off any program like this, I think it's fair to maybe give you an opportunity right up front to get let's call it opening remarks or whatever you want to say
Okay.
it is. But let me kind of get you to maybe give us an overview of why you want to be the sheriff of Tippah County.
Well, it's pretty simple. I've said it numerous times. We're at Tippah County is no longer what you call Mayberry. We've got that 4-lane highway to the south. We've got one to the north, and very soon we're going to have one coming up the middle. Anybody that gets involved in running for an elected office is going to have to deal with a whole lot of I heard and they said. And what I've been working and trying to do is get the message out of what James Page actually done as a sheriff for Tippah County and the different things that I accomplished with the sheriff's department versus things that are said about your different candidates. I've had some of the most, and anyone that run for office and's got elected and done the job that they need to do has had some of the most god-awful things that can be dreamed of told on them. I've dealt with nothing but the facts of what I did as the sheriff of Tippah County, and that's what I'm going to continue to do on through the 8th of November. I'm going to keep reminding people. I'm going to remind the voters, please come back to the polls. What happens when we don't vote is that group that tries to control the county and our state government gets away with it. If the good voters will go back, we had, I think, somewhere around 7,000 voters that didn't vote on August the 2nd. I'm hoping to get those folks back on November the 8th. We need to come to the polls and vote. People say my vote don't count. Well, your vote doesn't count if you don't vote. Once again, don't buy into that I heard or they said. Look at what James Page done as your sheriff, and the facts are out there, and we're, everybody working on my campaign is doing their dead level best to get it out there. My political enemies can't argue with the facts. Facts are just that. It's the truth. And truth will stand by itself. So that's pretty much where I'm at on that.
That's a pretty good way to put it. If you don't vote, your vote don't count.
That's it.
That's about as
Absolutely.
well put as
And-
Will Rogers could put it. If you
and-
don't vote, the vote don't count.
And that small group of people that tries to control everything, they're counting on voters getting disgusted and not going to vote. That's what they're counting on.
Well, we've got there's a broad area of conversation we can have, and I'm going to dive right into it. I've kind of got it broken out under your administration, and with that theme under your administration,
Okay.
what will the sheriff's department do for the children of Tippah County, and what can the sheriff's department do for the children of Tippah County?
Well, I've given that a lot of thought, and I've talked to several people about that. The sheriff doesn't have a whole lot of control about programs that are implemented outside the realm of law enforcement, but I would like to get with the different organizations throughout the county and just ask them if they would look at implementing some sort of our schools do a great program with our sports programs for our young people. But if you look past that, there's really nothing going on in Tippah County for our young folks. I would like to get with our different groups throughout the county and see if I could get somebody to chair a coalition and a sponsorship. We've got a lot of millionaires in Tippah County, and I know that they would be glad to donate to something that would be worthwhile, that would be overseen and ran by the county. I had something in the back of my mind about talking to some of the auditors about maybe overseeing as far as the bookkeeping with this organization, but put something together to where we could have bring back for want of a better word, a sports complex, something that would have a skating rink, maybe a bowling alley, maybe an arcade room, where young people on Saturday night could do other things besides ride up and down 15 or get out and go to private parties or whatever. There's just so many young folks out there in the age group of, I'd say, from 8 on up to 18 years old that would just love to have something like a skating rink, a bowling alley, or a video arcade or something of that nature. And I know there's people out there that would be interested in doing that. That would generate more interest in our county as far as businesses looking at coming into our county.
Good, clean entertainment.
Good, clean entertainment. And like I said, I'm not taking anything away from the schools. Our schools, all of our schools, have great sports programs. But we have a lot of things on Saturday night, Friday night. A lot of times, kids aren't going to the ball field. And I'd like to see something there for them. I mean, I'm just concerned about our children. The other thing that I would bring back under my administration, during the time that I was your sheriff, I got involved in the schools as far as drug awareness. I spent money out of my own pocket to get handouts to pass out to third graders to go to the different schools and talk to the kids about the dangers of drug addiction. And I would have a good time doing it, because after I'd give my little spiel about drug awareness and the dangers of drugs or whatever, I ain't gonna call no name in school or nothing, but I had a third grader one time raise his hand and said, "Mr. Sheriff, I know somebody that does drugs." And I said,
no.
You do? Who? Well, my mom and daddy are smoking that stuff. I said, "Oh,
It
Lord."
smells mighty funny.
Yeah. But, out of the mouth of babes, children. But that's what, those kids need to know, that there's somebody that they can talk to about things that are going on. A lot of our problems start in the homes, and it's not necessarily the parents. There's just all kind of things that happen in the homes. And the children need to know that they've got somebody, they got somewhere they can go. The principals, the teachers need to know that they've got somebody that is willing to help them without trying to crucify anybody.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what I'm after as far as the children.
Okay, that's well noted. Let me, under your administration, what can the Sheriff's Department do for our elderly citizens of Tippah County?
Well, here a while back, I did a program at Daryl's Corner down here on Channel 19, and I was talking about educating the citizens throughout the county about abuse of the elderly. There's a wide range of things that happen when folks become elderly. Sometimes they're victims of Alzheimer's or whatever, some kind of crippling disease, and they have to have home health care. They depend on family members to come in and see after them and take care of them. I had a ongoing program that I had during the time that I was sheriff, that I had folks that have been involved in writing legislature about laws of protecting the elderly and abuse against the elderly come in and educate us about what we need to look for and what kind of programs we could do to let the elderly know that there's somebody out there. I worked real close with the folks up at Triad, Miss Merle Norton. They knew that I was very concerned about that. Another thing that I did was I had a program implemented where I had inmates that were building these 911 signs, and when I had an officer that would take inmates out, if folks wanted the recognizable 911 sign, we'd take it out and we'd get it put up in front of the residents. There's a lot of things that the Sheriff's Department can do to get involved with that. And it doesn't take a whole lot of money, very little money to do that. It just takes someone that's dedicated and has the willingness to take that extra step to be sure that it's done.
Active as opposed to not active.
Active, and one of the phrases that I had that some of my deputies hated was proactive, meaning
Instead of
to actively be a part of the community, actively be out seeking those individuals that are dealing drugs, seeking those individuals that are breaking into our houses and stealing our property. proactive versus reactive. I've never been one, and I think that comes from my 20 years in the Army. I've never been one to react. If you want to be a successful leader, you've got to be proactive. You've got to try to see what the problems are and address them before they become real issues.
Okay, all right. Under your administration, what will the sheriff's department do for our churches in the county?
Well, once again,
And I say that because you hear of people breaking into churches and stealing their ramming through it.
Yes.
Or
stealing their video equipment, their
or-
musical instruments, yes,
that plus vandalizing just
Yes.
out of sheer meanness.
yeah.
And I understand you can't post a deputy at every church in the county, but will there be, under your administration, a proactive approach to that type of crime against our churches in the county?
Well, once again, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but as your sheriff, I had a proactive approach to that. I would brief each oncoming shift of deputies, and I would give them a specific area in the county that they would patrol. And I had these little hang tags printed up where the deputy had to hang that tag on that business or that church, putting a time and date that they came by there and checked it. That means they got out of their car and they walked around that church or that business. They filled out that card, the tag, they had to tear the bottom off of it and turn it into me with their end of shift report. That hang tag was hanging on that doorknob when the folks come back to the business or the church. That's a program that I think worked out really great. Somebody said, well, that lets the thugs know what time you were by there. Yeah, it does, but it also lets them know that we were, in
You're by
fact,
there.
we were by there and we might be back again in 10 minutes.
That's right.
But that was one of the programs that I had in place, and that goes back to that I heard and they said and my political enemies, about what I did and didn't do. That was one of the many programs, good programs that I had going on when I was your sheriff.
Okay. The other thing along the lines of our churches, would it not be a good idea, or have you thought along these lines of possibly going to, maybe not the main church service, but they have, on Sunday nights or Wednesday nights, could it not
And
be?
sometimes on Tuesday
And
nights.
sometimes on Tuesday.
And I say that because I did in fact get involved in that.
You know where I'm going with
I
the
know.
question.
I know where you-
Is it possible or a possibility that a deputy or yourself as the sheriff attend those meetings sometimes, and kind of go over, maybe there's been an influx of crime out in that, let's say at Pine Grove or Three Forks or somewhere in the
Absolutely.
county. Would it not behoove to go, maybe, let's be on the lookout, folks?
Yep.
That type of thing.
I had that going on, and what I did was I made myself available, and I put the word out to the churches that myself, and if I couldn't be there for some ungodly known reason, one of my officers would be there. We done that with a lot of trying to educate our church members about the different things to look if they thought their family members were involved in drugs. As a matter of fact, since you brought that up, I want to hit that real quick. I made every officer in my department a drug officer. Everybody, we didn't have one man that was in charge of drug arrest. Everybody in that department was held accountable and responsible for drug interdiction. And we funneled that information, and that led to our search warrants and drug cases or whatever. But yes, I would be happy, and once again, that's going to take dedication. It gets back to the fact of you've got such a wide spectrum of duties to perform as a sheriff, a limited number of resources, and so you're going to have to spread yourself thin. But I never had a problem. Anytime a church called and they wanted me or one of my deputies to come talk to their congregation on Tuesday night, Thursday night, or whatever, be happy to be there, and we'll do it again. That just goes back to loving this county. That goes back to that 20 years of training that I had as a leader in the military. You take care of your mission first and men always. In other words, if you take care of the folks of Tippah County, they're going to take care of you.
Okay, James, that concludes the first half of our interview. Let's go to a small break, and we'll come back with the second half.
All right.